Hello and welcome to This Date in History, also known as TDH. Hold on a second. This show is all about the events that occurred to date in years past, both recognized by actual historians, but mainly things that we personally find intriguing enough for us to bring to you. The sources of this information come from the Smart Device application, Today in History, What Happened Today in History,
Historical calendar,
and the website onthisday.com. For links to those sources, the music, and anything else we gather throughout the show, check the description. Anyway, I am Xander.
Tom Long.
And today is Freya's Day, also known as Friday, April 8th, 2022. And man, I feel like a fry right now. It is 97 degrees outside. It's 87 degrees inside. We can't afford to run the AC because we live in California. Kill me, please. Anyway, why don't you start us off here?
Yeah. 217, Roman Emperor Nikola is assassinated and is succeeded by his Praetorian Guard prefect Marcus Ophellius Marcinius.
Dang, how long ago was that? Huh.
That was 1805 years ago.
Yep, 1,805. Yep, I left them in for you today.
That's cool because it makes you feel old.
Yeah.
Especially when you get into the later years.
Yeah, well, it actually has the opposite effect. You know, you start seeing things like, that was only 100 years ago? Like, damn. You know? Like,
yeah. It blows your mind.
Yeah. Anyway, in the year 876, the Battle of Deir al-Akwal saved Baghdad from the Saffarids. Cool.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Also, 1139, which is 883 years ago, Roger II of Sicily is excommunicated by the Innocent II for supporting Anacletus II as Pope for 7 years, even though Roger had already publicly recognized Innocent's claim to the papacy.
Interesting. So this guy didn't know what side he wanted to be on. Anyway, moving on up to 1149, Pope Eugene III took refuge in the castle of Ptolemy II of Tusculum. Dude, I look like Giorgio Tsoukalos right now. Holy crap.
Yeah. Except for you're not Greek.
I might have Greek blood in me. I don't know.
You don't know. You might have Greek. Also, in 1232, Mongol-Jin War, the Mongols began their siege on Horrifying, capital of the Jin dynasty.
1271, in Syria, Sultan Baybars conquered the Kraktis Chevaliers.
Damn. 1730, Sharif Israel, the first synagogue in New York City, is dedicated.
Now see, here's what I was talking about earlier, 1730. That sounds, so long ago. That's only 292 years, not, 300. That sounds, more on the lengthy side, but yeah.
Yeah. It's 200, it's still over 200 years. That's young still.
Yeah. Anyway, in 1812, which is 210 years ago, so we're losing time here, Tsar Alexander I, the Russian Emperor, and the Grand Duke of Finland officially announced the transfer of the status of the Finnish capital from Turku to Helsinki. And
okay.
That's where it's been ever since, I believe. Helsinki.
I think so.
Yeah.
Also, 202 years ago, the Venus de Milo is discovered on the Aegean islands of Milos.
What is that? Venus de Milo? Is that like a plant or something?
I think it's a statue with no arms.
Oh, it is. Yeah, you're right. Dang, you're cultured, man. Jumping up into 1832, during the Black Hawk War, around 300 U.S. 6th Infantry troops left St. Louis, Missouri to fight the Chinook Native Americans.
Holy shit.
And don't say the name of that war too fast. So.
Black Hawk War?
Yep.
Okay. 1866, Italian and Prussian allies against the Austrian Empire.
Take the next one.
Also 1886, William Everett Gladstone introduced the first Irish Home Rule Bill into British House of Commons.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Yep. In 1895, which is a measly 127 years ago, in Pollock versus Farmers Loan and Trust Company, the Supreme Court of the United States declared unapportioned income tax to be unconstitutional. What is unapportioned income tax? Let me look that up. Da-da-da. Unapportioned income tax. In 1913, the 16th Amendment authorized an unapportioned tax to income derived from a source. The country adopted the amendment to reverse the 1895 Pollock decision. Is that the one we... Yeah, ooh. Many later decisions have wrestled with the derived requirement. Interesting. I'm not a lawyer, so this is above me, but if anybody knows what the hell that means, please leave a comment in the underbar. Or the comment section, you know.
Also, in 1908, 114 years ago, Harvard University votes to establish the Harvard Business School.
This is weird. How come this is, how come we have this 1904 over here? Now, wait a minute. Hold on. 1908 is supposed to go down this way. Hold on a second. Let me fix this in my script,
I'll do both of them.
Okay.
Also, traveling back to 1904, the French Third Republic and United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland signed the Entente Cordiale.
Let me look that up real quick. The Entente Cordiale comprised a series of agreements signed on April 8, 1904, between the... so it's just saying that we are what just said, but this saw a significant improvement in Anglo-French relations. So, interesting. I'm going to add this into the underbar because I'm not going to read all of this. But it's always good, you know, the UK and France getting along. You know, they usually hate each other. At least they used to. Anyway, 2 years later, in 1906, Auguste Deter, the first person to be diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, died. How unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, 1911, that is 111 years ago. 111.
Yeah.
Dutch physicist Heike Carmelin Ohms discovers superconductivity.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yep. 2 years after that, in 1913, the 17th Amendment to the United States Constitution requiring direct election of senators became law. Good. Good.
Also, in 1918, 104 years ago, World War I actors Douglas Fairbanks and Charlie Chaplin sell war bonds on the streets of New York City's financial district.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah. You know, celebrities have always had their foot in the door with, like, you know, the military-industrial complex, even before it became the military-industrial complex. Like, we have a culture of deifying, you know, celebrities and whatnot, and, you know, so, nothing new. Anyway, jumping on up into 1924, Sharia courts were abolished in Turkey as part of Ataturk's reforms. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Also, 1929, 93 years ago, Indian independence movement at the Delhi Central Assembly, Bhagat Singh and Batu Kashwar throw handouts and bombs to court arrest.
Wait, what? Throw handouts and bombs to court arrest. Oh. So I guess they were trying to, like, provoke arrest. Yeah, that makes sense. 6 years later, in 1935, the Works Progress Administration was formed when the Emergency Relief Appropriation Act of 1935 became law. What is The Works Progress Administration. We looked it up real quick. It was a U.S. New Deal agency that employed millions of job seekers to carry out public works projects, including the construction of public buildings and roads. It was set up on May 6, 1935 by presidential order as part of the Second New Deal. Interesting. I'm going to add this into the underbar here. Okay. Jumping on up into 1940, the Central Committee of the Mongolian People's Revolutionary Party elected Yumjagin Tesenbal as General Secretary, marking the beginning of his 44-year-long tenure as de facto leader of Mongolia. That's a long time to rule.
Yes, Mongolians. Also, in 1942, 80 years ago, World War II, the Japanese take Bataan in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Also, in 1943, 79 years ago, Otto and Elise Hampel are executed in Berlin for their anti-Nazi activities.
It frightens me, like, as a historian, like, I'm seeing how the world is going down today, and, we're not that far off from doing stuff like that to people who support Donald Trump, Like, it's scary.
Just read what Hitler said. They expect glass of juice, not glass of juice.
Yeah.
They won't show them with glass of juice for them.
Oh my goodness. I wonder if he wanted orange. Anyway, also in 1943, U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt, in an attempt to check inflation, froze wages and prices, prohibited workers from changing jobs unless the war effort would be aided thereby, and barred rate increases by common carriers and public utilities. That sounds horrifying. That sounds absolutely horrifying. If anything like that went down today, I would crap my pants immediately. Like, my God. Jesus.
Also, 1945, 77 years ago, World War II, after an air raid accidentally destroys a train carrying about 4,000 Nazi concentration camp internees in Prussia, Hanover. These survivors are massacred by the Nazis.
Dang, wait a minute. Was this the, what was it, Bergen-Belsen?
Probably.
Hold on a second, let me look up, Bergen-Belsen, because I have a video on this. Bergen-Belsen air raid, the Celle massacre. Yeah. Oh, it was! This is the Celle massacre! Oh my God, dude! Okay. Yeah, yeah, I did a video on this a while ago, and, like, so what happened essentially, was, like, they were being transported, and, unbeknownst to the prisoners, like, they did not know there was another train in that station that was carrying munitions and such, and unbeknownst to the Allied bombers, they did not know that there were, concentration camp people in the train cars in that station. And during the ensuing chaos, when the Allies bombed that train station, a lot of the internees escaped into the forest and everything, and they were systematically hunted down and executed. And that was just a few short weeks before the end of the war. Like, actually, hold on, when did World War II end in Europe? September 1st. Oh no, September 2nd. Oh wow, that's weird. September 1st, 1939 through September 2nd, 1945. Okay, so it was almost an exact to the day 6-year war. But yeah, no, just a few short months before the end of the war, and this happened. Just a tragedy. I'm gonna add the link to my video about the Celle massacre in the Underbar. While I do that, why don't you take the next two articles here?
Yes, senor, I will do that. In 1946, actually, France, the world's largest utility company, is found as the result of the nationalization of the number of electricity producers, transporters, and distributors. Oh, that is amazing.
Interesting.
Also, in 1950, India and Pakistan signed the Ladakh-Nuri Pact.
What is the Ladakh-Nuri Pact? Let's look it up real quick. It was a bilateral treaty between India and Pakistan in which refugees were allowed to return to dispose of their property, abducted women and looted property were to be returned, forced conversions were unrecognized, and minority rights were confirmed. Oh, wow. That's a good bill. That's a really good bill. Anyway, jumping on up into 1952, which was just 70 years ago, U.S. President Harry Truman called for the seizure of all domestic steel mills in an attempt to prevent the 1952 steel strike. You know what? That's not right. If people want to strike, people have rights. Government, stop stepping on our throats. Stop.
Exactly. Also, 1953, which is 69 years ago, man, that's like the age of Selma's grandfather.
I know, right?
Okay, Mau leader Jomo Kenyatta is convicted by British Kenyan rulers.
What did he do?
It's the British. Who cares? The British was probably pissed off at him. Like, you know, it's fucking British.
Yeah, oh, well, that's because he was the leader of the Kenyan independence movement. So, yeah, he was trying to independentize from the UK, and they convicted him. Wow, what a bunch of salty crackers. Anyway, 365 days later, in the year 1954, South African Airways Flight 201 AD Havilland DH-106 Comet 1 crashed into the sea during night, killing 21 people. That sucks. Well, the only worst thing of a water landing is a water landing at night, because you don't even know when you're going to hit. So you're constantly in a state of brace. Like, when's it going to come? When's it going to come? I don't see it. That sucks. What happened in 1954?
1954. South African Highway Flight 201. Oh no, you already did that. 1954, a Royal Canadian Air Force Canadair Harvard collides with a Trans-Canada Airlines FDR North Star over Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, killing 37 people, eh?
Yeah, what's all that about? But yo, that was the same day. So 2 aircraft. Actually, 3 aircraft. One day.
God damn. I can imagine the Canadian ones. Sorry, I think collide into each other.
Oh my god. They would do that, those moose people.
It's like, hey, you're in my way, buddy.
I'm not your buddy, guy.
Hey, guy, you're in my way, buddy.
5 years later, in 1959, a team of computer manufacturers, users, and university people led by Grace Hooper met to discuss the creation of a new programming language that would be called COBOL. Interesting.
Also 1959, the Organization of American States drafted an agreement to create an Inter-American Development Bank.
That, I need to look that up. What is that? It's the largest source of development financing for Latin America and the Caribbean. Well, cool. Alright, well, happy birthday to you. Moving on up in the I'm sorry?
Also in 1960, the Netherlands and West Germany signed an agreement to negotiate the return of German land annexed by the Dutch in return for 280 million German marks as William Golden Mark.
Yeah, I'm looking that up right now. The German word Wiedergutmachung after World War II refers to the reparations that the German government agreed to pay in 1953 to the direct survivors of the Holocaust and to those who were made to work at forced labor camps or who otherwise became victims of the Nazis.
Yes, damn, 280 million German marks.
Why won't it let me click? Yeah, that's a lot of marks. Moving on up into 1968, BOAC Flight 712 caught fire shortly after takeoff As a result of her actions in the accident, Barbara Jane Harrison was awarded a posthumous George Cross, the only GC awarded to a woman in peacetime. Wow. Pretty bamf right there. And in the 1970 Bar el Bakar primary school bombing, Israeli bombers accidentally strike an Egyptian school. 46 children were killed. Israel just can't stop killing people, can they?
In 1975, Frank Robinson manages the Cleveland Indians in his first game as Major League Baseball's first African-American manager.
Interesting.
You know, I found this one weird by doing my research. The first time ever we didn't have anything involving Vietnam.
The first time ever in Vietnam? Oh!
So the first time we didn't have an article involving Vietnam.
Huh, I have not been paying attention to that, but that is, you're right. We did not talk about Nam at all. Interesting. Anyway, 1987, 35 years ago, Los Angeles Dodgers executive Al Campanis resigned amid controversy over racist remarks he had made while on Nightline. Aye.
Well, that's what you get. Man, don't you feel old yet?
Well, yeah, because 35 years ago I was born. So,
yeah, I know.
That's my year.
To make it worse, 1992, 30 years ago, oh God, retired tennis star great Arthur Ashe announces that he has AIDS acquired from blood transfusion during one of his 2 heart surgeries.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That's just awful. 1 year later, in 1993, the Republic of North Macedonia joined the United Nations. And when that happened, the Space Shuttle Discovery was launched on mission STS-56. Really cool.
Also, look at that. Not really bad. It wasn't no really bad things in this era of the 90s. So April 8th is fucking safe for the 90s.
Yeah, April 8th is safe.
2004, 18 years ago, yes. If you're born in 2004, you're officially 18 years old.
Yep.
So vote. Also,
the war in Darfur?
The war in Darfur, the humanitarian ceasefire agreement is signed by the Sudanese government, the Justice and Equal Movement, and the Sudan Liberation Movement Army.
Cool. It's always nice to see when people finally, get together, stop killing each other, and, come to an agreement, you know?
Uh-huh.
Anyway, 2 years later, in 2006, during the Shedden massacre, the bodies of 8 men, all shot to death, were found in a field in Shedden, Elaine County, Ontario. The murderers were soon linked to the Bandidos Motorcycle Club.
Damn, man, motorbike gang.
Yep.
Also, 2010, which is 12 years ago, President Barack Obama and Russian President Dmitry Medvedev signed the START Treaty.
START, which is Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty.
So when the fuck does Putin take over?
I was actually just going to look at that. When did Putin take office? Because I was I thought he was, not long after that, 7th of May, 2012. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was just like, wait a minute, Putin has not been in office back then? When did he start? Now we know. 3 years later, in 2013, the Islamic State of Iraq entered the Syrian civil war and began by declaring a merger with the al-Nusra Front under the name Islamic State of Iraq and Ash-Sham. Is that ISIS? Yeah, that's ISIS.
Yeah, that's
also, ISIS, also known as the Israeli Secret Intelligence Service. Look it up. There was a news article from 1987 involving Israel and ISIS doing something. So, open your eyes, people.
Also, 2020 Bernie Sanders ends his presidential campaign leading Joe Biden as the Democratic Party's nominee. No, he didn't end. He got it stolen from him again. Come on, man. You get this shit stolen from you every fucking time.
Yep.
And not to mention your supporters are the most sick people in the world.
I guess Bernie Sanders is a really good example of you live by the sword, you die by the sword.
But the funniest thing is, when I was playing the game Rainbow Six Siege, pretty much had a guy named Bernie Sanders on our fucking team.
Yo, I have a guy named Joe Biden in my AQ3D guild.
God.
Anyway, before we get into Burst and Deaths here, any articles catch your attention today?
The train.
Yeah, the Sully Massacre.
And 2 Canadian planes colliding with each other.
Don't forget that other plane, so one day 3 planes go down. 2 different parts.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah, that's awful. And there could have been more, we didn't look at the big source, so there could have been a lot more. But yeah, that's awful. I'm just looking through the script here, trying to see if there was any. The world's largest utility company, Electricité de France.
Yeah, the one from France. Yeah.
Oh, and what FDR did in '43.
That's horrible.
Yeah, that is beyond frightening. Like, if anything like that happens today, oh god. So we have plenty of articles to take inspiration to name the show today. Why do you start us off, Burst, today?
1320 Peter the First of Portugal.
In 1641, Henry Sidney, 1st Earl of Romney, English general and politician who is the Secretary of State for the Northern Department.
1842, Elizabeth Bacon Custer, American author and educator.
I want to try Bacon Custer. That sounds awful but amazing at the same time. Why don't you take this next one here?
Sure. In 1892, Richard Neutra, Austrian-American architect who designed the Los Angeles County Hall of Records.
Yeah, I have it up on the stream right now. It looks like a pretty cool building. I might have seen it. I don't know. I've been in downtown LA multiple times. I live in SoCal, so.
SoCal. Only SoCal I know is SoCaliber.
Going from 1892 to 1982, we have Mary Pickford, a Canadian-U.S. actress, producer, screenwriter, and co-founder of United Artists.
Nice. Also, 1918, Betty Ford, U.S. wife of, I'm gonna say it like this, wife of U.S. President Gerald Ford and the 40th First Lady of the United States.
Yes, that is also correct. In the year 1919, we have Ian Smith, a Zimbabwean lieutenant and politician who is the first Prime Minister of Rhodesia.
Nice. Also, 1926, Henry in Cobb, the U.S. architect and academic who co-founded Harry Cobb, Breed and Payne Partners.
Yep. 1934, Kisho Kurokawa was born on this date. He was a Japanese architect who designed the Nakagan Capsule Tower and Singapore Flyer. And I'm going to look those up real quick, because you know how I am a glutton for architecture. While I'm doing this, who was born 10 years after that?
1944, Odd Nerdrum, Swedish Norwegian painter and illustrator.
Yeah. Let's see here. The Capsule Tower, that looks looks like a bunch of washing machines stacked on top of each other. The Singapore Flyer, oh, it's the Ferris wheel. Yeah, it's a giant Ferris wheel. That's a big Ferris wheel. Holy crap.
That's a boulder. That's a huge boulder.
Is it a boulder or a hippo?
Oh, I'm not playing that.
1946, we have Catfish Hunter, a U.S. baseball player, and that cannot be his real name, dude. That's just too weird. Catfish Hunter.
For Odd Nerdrum is?
Oh yeah, James Augustus Hunter, nicknamed Catfish. Okay. So James Augustus Hunter. I gotta add that.
Okay, 1946, Tim Thomerson, U.S. actor and producer.
And also 1946. Oh, you already did that. Moving on to 1947, Tom DeLay, a U.S. lawyer and politician.
In 1947, Robert Kiyosaki, U.S. businessman who co-founded Cash Flow Technologies.
Man, talk about like naming something really good to spark a bunch of customers' attention. Cash Flow Technologies. Who's not going to go there? 1949, John Madden, an English director and producer, not the football guy.
Also, 1955, Barbara Kingsolver, U.S. novelist, essayist, and poet.
But did she solve any kings? Like, was she the person to decode Stephen King's novels? Last but not least, 1987, Elton John, Trinidadian footballer, not the pianist. Anyway, moving on to the deaths.
1917, Carlo, Roman Emperor.
Doing one hell of a time jump here into 1691, Carlo Rinaldi, an Italian architect who designed the Santa Maria dei Miracoli and Santa Maria of Montesio. And once again, I gotta look these up. So what does this look like?
Why you do that? In 1704, Henry Sidney, first Earl of Romney, English colonel and politician who was the Lord Lieutenant of Ireland, Orleans.
Ireland. That was a misspell on my part. Yeah, I just checked out these buildings, and like church buildings, Renaissance building, pretty cool architecture. Anyway, 1861, we have Elisha Otis, an American businessman who founded the Otis Elevator Company, and he actually the first elevator shaft was actually built a couple years before the elevator. And it was built circular. There's a video. Actually, I'll find that for you. And while I'm doing that, Mr. Sohen, who was born today in 1906?
In 1906, Auguste Peter, German woman who was the first patient diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease.
Oh yeah, we reported on that earlier. She died today. That sucks. Auguste. Anyway, 1979, Brice Dija Pancake died on the States. Was a U.S. short story writer. What a cool last name, Pancake.
Yeah. 1981, Omar Bradley, U.S. General and friend of Patton.
Yeah, Omar Bradley served in World War II. And hold on a second, I'm trying to see. Is this? Okay, did I not post? Oh, I'm having some technical difficulties on my end here. 1990, we have Ryan White, U.S. activist who's inspired the Ryan White CARE Act. What is the Ryan White CARE Act? Let me see here. Ryan White CARE Act. For AIDS. Okay. So it was a movement for AIDS. Okay, so that works. Who else died on the state?
2009?
Yep.
Richard D. Mill, U.S. Scientologist, cultist, author, investigative journalist, and psychologist.
Yep. I don't trust anything Scientology, so, yeah. Anyway, 2012, Jack Tramiel, Polish-U.S. businessman who founded Commodore International. That sounds familiar. I'm not going to look it up because I'm trying to solve another issue here. So, when did I...
In 2013, Margaret Thatcher, English politician who was the first female Prime Minister of the United Kingdom.
Ah, yep. Margaret Thatcher, I didn't know that she died, but... yeah. And last but not least, in 2014, we have Ivan Merkep, a New Zealand architect who designed the Te Papa Tongariro Museum. And I gotta look that up. Obligatory. What does this looks like? Oh, that's a pretty cool museum. I'd like to visit that, actually. Interesting. Anyway, that concludes the show. Once again, check the description, the underbar, for any links that you may be interested in, which also include
Soviet TV on Twitch.
And everything OMNI Coalition. For your dose of Past Events Daily, we stream every day between noon and 3 p.m. Pacific Time.
5 Central.
Yep. For all of you and all of us, I am A.O. Xander.
Me.
Yeah, and he is Yanni. And you are you. Don't forget to look right and left at every intersection, rate 5 thumbs, and subscribe until you see us tomorrow. Toodles!